Hand clap to the massive, guys. We are back again. I don't like that one. Hand clap, I say. Hand clap to the massive, brothers and sisters. We are definitely back again for another reaction video on the one and only Mystelics reaction, guys. I'll be dropping two. So this is the very first one. So with that said, guys, definitely subscribe and turn on that post notifications so you can get the vibrations as they tend to come through. And with that said, guys, big up the greatest family out there, all over the place, out of YouTube, out of the Caribbean, brothers and sisters, the Mystelics YouTube family. Big up yourself one time for dropping by and say Mystelics in the building, as well as the people's peeping in. People's come on in. The new people out there, come on in, brothers and sisters. Have a sit down, please. So you can definitely get the vibrations where I give my views on a number of things pertaining to that of the Caribbean people. And of course, with that said, guys, let us get into the vibrations for which we are dealing with out of Dominica right there. Don't forget, do not forget, guys, to thumbs up this video. I don't know why I'm doing all this, guys. I guess I have the energy. I have the power and the energy. I have the will and the power. Guys, thumbs up this video, please. I would appreciate that right there. Anyways, guys, let us get into the vibrations. T-Mal is back. T-Mal. T-Mal has a word for us, man. Let us see what T-Mal has to say.
So now,
yeah.
the opposition want all you to protest for electoral reform. That is not a problem.
By the way, guys, this is what I'm going to react to next in the next video. The actual protests that they did out there. And of course, talking about electoral reform, which is much needed in Dominica. We all know the Prime Minister was to come and say there was free and fair elections all throughout. But, I mean, even CCJ has pointed out there has been taints, and these taints need to be stopped. These taints need to be corrected. These taints need to be fixed. So yes, there's definitely a need for electoral reform right there, brothers and sisters. Not electoral modernization, you know, electoral reform. The modernization can take place after the reform has taken place, brothers and sisters. But let's continue. T-Mal, hit it to us.
But that is what I want all you to protest for.
Okay.
Remember now the country have three sets of people. The investors, the government, and the consumers. You have to be an intelligent consumer.
True.
Because now, the investor can tell the government, I'm going to keep you in power. All I want you to do for me is to play a blind eye on consumer protection and minimum wages.
Some of you probably that just fly over some of you. Vroom! Rocket that past there. Vroom! A supersonic jet. For those of you who don't understand, this is probably why a number of persons are saying that the government is never really for the people. The government is usually for the people who are sponsoring them. It's an interesting scope when you look at the government officials. Who exactly is behind the government? For example, one of the people I tend to look at is the United States government. If you notice, what they're pushing is based off who lobbied them or who were the sponsors for them. For example, the green energy stuff. They have decided to stop the oil thing, or have lessened it to quite a bit, where it's actually affecting the American economy to the point where even the gas prices are going up. And as a result of that, they are trying to switch to going green. And the reason for this is because the people who have sponsored the very Biden campaign are the ones who are the green people. They are the ones saying, okay, this is what we want you to do. So is it beneficial to the people? Not necessarily, because if you look at, boy, I tell you that, boy, there's not enough time in the day for all this. Brain, take it easy for me, please. Take it easy. All right, guys, there's not enough time on the day. But if you're looking at, let me just get to the basics of the thing. The people who the lobbyists are the ones who pretty much control the government. The same thing might be happening in Dominica. Not might be, most likely it's happening in Dominica. Why are you trying to understand? Why aren't they doing simple things like building factories? We are an agricultural nation. Why aren't they doing these things? Because it will benefit the people, or it doesn't really benefit them. If it benefits the people become independent, and as a result of them independent, they don't rely on the government. Therefore, they can, when the government is forming the royal donkey as them as independent, they will say, no, stop your dirty ways, or we'll move you from there. But the government is constantly keeping the people in a dependency state. So as a result of that, doesn't matter which opposition you put there, brothers and sisters, all you need to understand this, it is all a cycle. Knowing who is actually benefiting. Just like this, the same thing with the Pfizer stuff. The number one contributor to the present government's administration was Pfizer. Look at the media, sponsored by. All over, sponsored by. So expect that these very people would go against whatever these people are doing, especially understanding that what they are pushing doesn't work. People need to wake up. What he's saying there is spot on in Dominica. Who exactly are the investors who are investing in the government for their bidding? One of the people I associate with, well, there's a few of them. They say they're not running for government. They will never run for government. They say running for government doesn't make any sense. They are the ones sponsoring the government, so the government will do their bidding for them. I know some of these people. That's crazy, bro. Just to think of it. I know some of these folks. They don't want to run in government. They want to be the ones behind the scenes. Therefore, if they have this to do, that to do, they sponsor the government. You know, the government put $1, $2, $3 million to the government in the Caribbean islands. This is happening in the Caribbean islands too, you know. They sponsor the government. The government does the bidding of the, not the people, but the people who are sponsoring them. Because they are the ones who put them there in positions. Some of them, they are put in positions through the lobbies and the companies that are there. If you look at the structure society, man, I go into deep. Let's continue.
The government will be happy to hear that, Timal, because the government also provides services that we consume.
Spot on.
Timal. You hear what I'm telling you, Timal?
Yeah, Timal.
The government will be very happy to hear that because they provide services that we consume. That is why you have to be an intelligent consumer.
Look, the CBI program, for example. The CBI is supposed to benefit the people, but it's not benefiting the people the best way it can. Therefore, the government is using the CBI program to then keep the people in check. They're keeping the people in check by giving them housing, by giving them a number of things, sending their child to school on scholarship, so they have to be obedient to them. And on the basis, the government is using what is not theirs to control the people. They're using the people. But that is a heck of a thing. They're using the people's money to control them because they are in charge of it and making it look as if it is their own money that they are using. Like I always point out, it is not scared them money they're using to give you. You remember the $64,000 per month that the people's money are going into maintaining one group. Boy, I tell you, boy, people not easy now, boy. People not easy at all, Nagasa. And the thing is, they know. How do you convince people who know what is going on about what is going on, that what is going on isn't right, and they know it is not right, and they know it's not to their benefit? $64,000 a month to stay in a mansion that is apparently built on Melissa's, the wife's father's land, who apparently gave it over to them. I mean, anyways, they use these CBI funds for them to control the masses. The CBI funds generated by Dominican assets coming in for the Dominican people are used by the Dominican leaders to then control the people. Controlling the people where they cannot even talk, they feel victimized. But they don't know that the people are the ones who are in charge and have the power to say, no, stop your dirty ways. But so much people thinking of individualism rather than a collective unit that they themselves don't even realize that they're affecting their other family members or the offsprings of their own coming into the very same system that they have been oppressed by. Some people don't even know they are oppressed. They know something is happening where they cannot go up, they cannot elevate, they cannot move this, they cannot. That is something else. I mean, the very ruinous situation should have taught us lessons. It should have taught us. The people that we think have our best interests in mind, they have their interests in mind, not yours. They have their interests in mind. And we pull up there fighting with one another, saying, "Eyes labor, eyes workers, eyes freedom, eyes APPite, eyes UPPite, and we all PP'ite." See how it is? That's why progress cannot happen. Man want to say, Alex, them want to say, we want to build another party. You build another party talking about unity and what have you. And it's like, Myself, I don't want to say much about that because it's a very sad situation. And I remember some time back I was explaining the same thing. I think it's in Alaska somewhere where the different people meet. The Republicans, there were 2 Republican representatives. I remember I watched that saying, but these people foolish, eh? 2 Republican representatives. They got 30s. They got 30 and the other one got 20-something% of the vote. The Democratic Party got 30-something, 39, and I think the Republican that got the highest got 33. But the Democrat won the seat because the Republicans were divided. Hey, that is something else, eh? That is truly something else. But hey, I mean, you talk to people understanding what you're saying, and they're still going back to do the very same thing that. Anyways, Timal, continue.
Because the government and the investors are money suckers.
Yep.
Who they sucking the money from?
The people.
The consumers.
So you have to be a smart consumer. And sometimes you're not supposed to even be the consumer. You're supposed to be the gatekeeper. Some people will be consumers. This is why I never understand how people understand how money works. People don't understand how money works, no boy. They see something on TV, ooh, let me buy, ooh, let me buy, ooh. They're taking their hard work money to go and buy things that would not be productive for them at all. They go and buy things for them to put on their neck. What are you doing? Absolutely nothing. I work more, I spend 2, 3, 4, 5 months working for me to go and buy a gold chain to put on my neck. For me to go and buy expensive slippers that I can just buy a $15 slippers for just to impress other people who trying to do the same thing. But woe be unto mankind. Woe be unto mankind, boy. Woe be unto mankind. Hey, it's the very same system and the government them understands it very well. Sometimes if they don't do nothing for the people, they know the people are going to get boisterous, so they feed them breadcrumbs. They feed the people breadcrumbs. And when Fontaine and Lennox them ask the people, hey, come together, let us protest and go out there and whoop whoop. You expect the whole of Dominica to come through because it's affecting the entire city of Dominica. Entire country of Dominica. Yes, sir. Anyways, let's continue.
Timal, take that for joke, Timal, in the system.
No joke, no. Some of us understand it well. This is why some of us know how to use the system very well indeed. I remember Andrew Tate was talking about Nike and how Nike doesn't pay tax. They have their business in Brazil, whatever. The government obligation for Nike is 1% tax. So they're making how much billions and they're using the expenses right there. They're making themselves get a loss. Boy, you mad. That is, you understand the system, boy. When you understand the system, you know how to use the system, and the officials, they know how to use the system. This is why they doesn't teach you these things in school. They tell you money is debt. When you think you're getting money, you think, but that is my money. My money is not your money. That is money borrowed given to you. That is debt. When the Federal Reserve print money out of thin air, they print $100 out of thin air and they put the $100 in the economy and tell you have to pay $110, $120 back. There's $10 to $20 worth of invisible money that is not in society. That society then has to come up by some miracle to pay back, which they cannot. So when they're looking to pay back, they ask the same Federal Reserve for more money, which of course is increasing. Of course, the printing of money increases inflation. That is how you have a skyrocketing prices. This is one of the reasons why Dominica could buy a plane for £4,000 or euros, whichever one it is, back in the day. And Dominica cannot do that today. You can't buy a plane for £4,000 or euros. The equivalent to that is about $120,000 or pounds or euros, whichever you want to call it. Equivalent of that today, 100 years later, $120,000 plus dollars. No, sorry. $150,000 plus dollars for the equivalent of $4,000 in 1993, 110 years ago, because there was more money being printed from since that time put into the economy. As a result of that, inflation and the value of money has decreased, and inflation goes up. So the depletion, this is why I don't understand how people don't understand how the banking system works. You put your money inside there and you get 2% per year. If or not, some of all you don't even know how much interest all you getting per year. All you don't even know what interest all you getting per year. Much less to even understand the value of inflation for that year. If inflation for that year is 5% and you're getting 2%, that means you're at a deficit. Even though you see your money increasing, the value of your money is worth less, 3% less. People don't understand how. So all you don't understand, anyways, all you're learning today. But anyways, guys, talk about learning. I got this video of Mystelics that was being played on DBS this morning there, and they were laughing and stuff. But I'm not gonna lie, this is what they're laughing about. Take a listen.
Hello, good afternoon, Matt.
Good afternoon to you, sir.
Yeah, and your listeners here on the brother. Regarding education there, Matt, please. How many branches does the government comprises of?
What for?
There are 3 branches of government, and on official there's 4. I'll explain that in a while.
4?
Why?
Okay, name me the 4, please.
Legislature.
Judiciary.
Not coming to mind right now, but it's about 4.
Okay,
Journalism is 1, huh? Yes.
He said it right. He said journalism is 1, but journalism is the unofficial one. I think it's called infographic. Anyways, yeah.
Okay, journalism is 1, huh? Yes.
Legislature. The executive branch.
Yes.
Judiciary is also one.
Judiciary is another one, yes.
And what's the 4th one?
Not coming to mind right now.
You just said it, Umar. You just said it. That's what sometimes maybe you make a guess. You know when they tell you about write ABCD and you checking boy not sure and you just put on your answer. You check it, that's you, and then you're not sure, you erase it and you put another answer, only to find out later on that the first answer you put was actually the correct one. You said it, Matt. The 4th one is media, journalism. Unofficial, by the way, the official ones are first the legislative. That's where you have the legislative legality taking place. The laws are being made. This is where laws are made, brothers and sisters. Legality. Then you have the executive. The executive are the ones who execute the laws that have been made. Then you have the judiciary, the judges and all those people that come in to ensure that the rules, that laws have been made. If people break them, then what punishment and so forth needs to be taken and so forth as a result of breaking the laws. This is why they say, even though some people believe they are the ones making the laws, these people who have made the laws are also under the law as well. Some of them believe that they're above the law. Although there's a whole other, when it comes down to reality, that can be true. Even though in hindsight, what is saying, everybody's supposed to be under the law, but the rich people live under a different scope. I have seen this for my boy. If all you know the world working, boy. Anyways, I can't say certain things because I associate this with some of these people. But anyways, guys, the whole point here is only to understand how this system working. And on the basis of that, Matt, you should have known these things. And I understand. I learned this whole thing about 2 or 3 years ago, you know, guys. I didn't even learn this. I don't remember if they taught this to us in school. About the judiciary, the legislative, the executive. But these are the official ones, brothers and sisters, the official ones. But there's a 4th one. And the 4th one is the journalistic or media infograph, or whatever they want to call it. That's the 4th one. It's unofficial, but it's accepted by the plethora of the government. Is accepted as media. Since these are the laws based on the laws, the making of the law, the executing of the law, and the keeping of the law, you also have the responsibility of the media to the people. They are the ones in ensuring that the people know the laws. They are the ones ensuring executing the information out there. But what is happening in the world now is completely contrary to that very belief. Because right now it's based off agendas. I mean, you should look at what is taking place since 2020. And I remember even the very person who helped make me what I am today. The President of the United States, the former one. I wrote a letter to put into law. that the media is not, shouldn't be held in contempt of what they say, based off of what they are saying. I remember that on the last day I was in Washington DC. I remember reading that very article. I say, how could they do this? But obviously it's not on the benefit of the people. It's who that is on top of them. That's the very thing I was talking about a while ago. They are putting things in place and putting laws. There was even an interviewer went out to find out what the different legislators do they remember or recall what is being signed into the bill. Some of them don't even read what is being signed. They signed it, they don't read it. Somebody else drafted, they put it in front of them, they pay them some money for them to do millions of dollars. They sign it and they put it. There's journalists asking, that's why it's important, why the journalist them is important. When the journalists went out to find out if they knew what was on the bill, these people don't even know what they signed. I'm going too far. But I'll get the point. But on the breakdown of this, guys, this is what it exactly is. This is where you make the laws. This is where you execute the laws. This is where you keep the laws right there and to the people. And the media is 3 of them officially based on the Constitution. But the Constitution also gives right to the media. Okay, guys, that is important right there. Makes the laws, carries out the laws, evaluates the laws based on the community and what have you. So just in case you don't know, but the official one right there, I actually went out and did this. While the Constitution establishes the executive, legislative, and judicial branches, the phrase "the fourth estate" reflects the unofficial but widely accepted role the news media plays in providing citizens with the information that they can use to check the government power. So the people, although the government is making these rules and what have you, to ensure that the people abide, a functional level of society, but the media is also responsible to hold the government in account. It's holding the government in account to check the government's power, because sometimes the government can abuse its power when it's not beneficial to the people. This is one of the reasons why I like what Lennox them was saying on the whole electoral reform. Is not just the government them saying, oh, let me have a meeting with you, and they'll have a meeting with the opposition and that's it. No, the people need to also get involved, and this is where the media, this is one of the reasons why Lennox handed out saying this is the report of and Dennis Byron, so the media can then push this out there. I'm still waiting for that, for me to put it out there for you guys. So the media is also responsible for the people. They make the laws, but they have to get the people involved before the laws are passed. This is where the important role of the media comes in. So while they're making the laws, the people need to get involved. Although they have representatives, and it's very interesting that the representatives are supposed to consult with the people. Just like the parliamentary representatives are supposed to consult with the people. But when the government is the one putting the par reps ahead to represent the people, then if the people are asking their par reps to do things for them, this is not the par reps people. This is not the people's par rep. This is the government's par rep for the people. So obviously the par reps will do the government's bidding, not the people's bidding. I don't think people understood that at all. They never did. It's unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Right there. Anyways, guys, let's move along. There's something very important right there. Hopefully I have enough time to do this one. But this is Professor Lumumba. And he has something very powerful to state right there. Very, very powerful. And make sure this thing is wide enough. And he's talking about Africa, brothers and sisters. But I don't know if there's something wrong with what people like to say is black people. No, it's not that. It happens pretty much everywhere. I mean, in the United States, it happens the same thing too. But I want you guys to help me understand this, or let Professor Lumumba explain it as well. Hit it!
Today, when we are sick, unless you are suicidal, you don't go to a hospital in Africa. You go outside. You go to India. You go to London. Even ministers for health in African countries will never go to those hospitals.
Isn't that a fact in Dominica? When the Prime Minister himself stated, hey guys, this is why the media is so important. And then the media is telling the people, this is what the Prime Minister is telling you. And you guys, not us, you guys are the ones who are supposed to hold them accountable to what they say. People just don't know. People just don't know. Guys, let me play that again. Maybe you don't hear.
When we are sick, unless you are suicidal, you don't go to a hospital in Africa. You go outside. You go to India. You go to London. Even
the health minister, even the health minister sent his family member overseas to get medical attention, even though they were boasting about building phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 hospital in Dominica, and then talking about HIF 1, all kind of machine. Yet still they are sending their family members overseas. Guess on who's they sending it? On the people's money? You think it's their salary they take it and send their family overseas?
In African countries, we'll never go to those hospitals.
The health ministers will go to the hospital. Why?
Why? Yet we have the Abuja Declaration on Health. On the the skies, the only African airline that is running and makes profit is the Ethiopian airline. Yet we have the Yamoussoukro Declaration on free skies. Most airlines have died. Nigeria dead. South Africa dead. Ghana dead.
Guys, he's talking about airlines in Africa. Think of the agricultural sector. Matter of fact, think of every growth sector in Dominica and put that in what he's saying.
Gambia dead. Others.
Matter of fact, not just Dominica, all the countries too, because there's a number of people all across the world listening. Put that in your country too and tell me if our leaders are actually doing things for the people or they're doing things for themselves and those who give them campaign finance. I remember that the Moderna thing, man. Moderna has been known for paying billions of dollars in legal fees to people who they have wrong with their medication. And then all of a sudden, they are one of the people that they are pushing as if, and then the same thing comes around. It is giving people all kind of illnesses and side effects and boy.
Which claim to be airlines with a single aircraft which their president can take at any minute without any warning, dead or dying. How can a continent be in that space? Look at little Qatar. Little Qatar. Qatar is smaller than the state of Bauchi.
You know what Qatar, you know Qatar and places like Singapore, these places, small places, they have elevated to a magnitude because the people, not only the people, but the leaders themselves are holding each other in account. And when the leaders who put things in place say, okay, we need to keep it tidy, and the people decide, hey, some people, wayward people want to come and say, no, they then punish these people. But on the basis of keeping things right, they have competent leaders. And the people also, majority of them, I must point it out, are competent themselves to say, okay, this is for our benefit.
Smaller. Look at the stadium that they have built in 8 years.
Boy, you mad. A desert tree that was there. A desert tree. Dominica flourishing with water, with resources, rich soil, bare sun. We in the rainforest, so we have an adequate amount of water. I'm sure it's sunny today, tomorrow, next day going to rain. Brothers and sisters. Rich soil. But we can put things in position to actually do things to benefit the people, but no. It comes back to the same thing what Timal was saying. The investors are the ones controlling the government. They look at MMC and there's people there. Help us, Father.
Resource, natural gas. Compare that. Permit me to speak my mind.
Speak on,
Compare that with Nigeria. The 5th largest producer of oil on earth.
On earth. And Nigeria also. Who do you think the leaders are catering to? The people? I mean, come on. We have to wake up.
And yet they are accused of fail in the capital. How How can we excuse that?
How can we excuse the Prime Minister building 3 mansions? Well, allegedly 3 mansions. We know he built 2. One in Vickers and the other one he built in there. 3 mansions, and telling the people how bad the economy is as a result of what is happening in the world. And during that time, you are building a bigger mansion than what you have in Vickers and the one you staying in there. Guys, my thing just stopped there, so I didn't even know that stop on me. Hey, but that is something else. Anyways, let's continue.
How can we possibly excuse that? With gas from the Delta, we are flaring the gas. The Democratic Republic of Congo, with minerals worth $34.1 trillion under her belly. What?
And poor soul. Who do you think? They're selling out the country, they're selling out our resources to foreigners. I remember one time we went around Dominica and we went to a spot, and the foreign people, white people that were there, they bought the land and tell us we have to pay as Dominicans to come and visit the very water that is Dominican. We have to pay. Foreigners want to make us pay in our own land. Who are they selling out to? Think, people, think.
What is she famous for? War. Today, when we are sick, unless you are suicidal.
So it went back again. Now, guys, let's head on to Umar. Dr. Umar, he says a lot of strange stuff from time to time. But this thing he's saying there is definitely spot on when it comes down to Jamaica and what is actually happening in Jamaica. And this one is the involvement of Chinese, guys. Take a listen.
The main port of Jamaica, right, they own the port, is owned by the Chinese. Exactly. If another race owns your port, that means they control what's coming in.
By the way, guys, you cannot own, people cannot come and own thing in China like that, no? It's only Chinese people that can own Chinese things in China. Matter of fact, the main areas, I would have to say, because you can own businesses and stuff in China, depending on if the government, whatever. But we're talking about the main things, the root of production is all owned by Chinese people in China. Chinese people going in other people's country and owning their things because they give them loans. They call it a debt trap. They give the countries loans, and if you cannot repay the loans because obviously you're not making much money, so they know you're going to default at one point in time. When you default at one point in time, matter of fact, the Chinese are printing their own money out of thin air. Why? They're printing their own money out of thin air to then change it in equivalents to give people US dollars. Thin air they're making because China can print their money too. China don't care. What is China rate? What, $1 to 1,000, 10,000 yen? They don't care if it's devaluing. They just know that they're giving monies that have no actual value. I was telling a friend of mine, she tell me all she does is work. I say, you mean to tell me, so you enjoy, you spending all your time doing overtime, working 48 hours with few sleeps in between, 48 hours back to back. You working just for you to make tree leaf that was flattened and altered, and then they put fake value on it so you can buy things. She tell me yes. She tell me, well, she buy things, it makes her happy. So you're getting things that don't have no actual real value at all, that has applied value to it, just so you can obtain a few things, and then you're forgetting about the real things that actually have real value out there, just so you can work constantly. That is what is happening when it comes down to the Caribbean islands. They are giving us money, yes, money with applied value to it. No real value at all. And this is what people are fighting over. I understand the basic need of survival. You need money, yes, true. But for you to be fighting and depleting your very life source so you can get very... Boy. Anyways, let me continue.
They control what's going on. What about the drugs? What about the guns? What about the COVID? You don't know what them people bringing in. And you mean to tell me that the Chinese care so much about Jamaican people that they're not going to educate our kids and take care of their health?
Talking about educating our kids. Right now they're trying to put Mandarin in schools. And I understand, yes, it's the second largest language, but that is as a result of the amount of Chinese it has. Chinese have one of the most popular, China has the most populated set of people. It has one of the biggest populations of individuals, Chinese individuals. So obviously they're teaching them that language there. Obviously Chinese people must learn Chinese language. And then boom bang. What do you expect? There must be. I think Chinese is about 1.something billion people in the world. There are what, 9 billion people? Africa itself has all kind of language, all different kinds of tribes, language, all kind of things. So that self is, boy, I tell you. Let's continue.
Chinese don't care about black folks. Go to China. Go to China and see how they treat black people in China. So to me, what I think this is...
Well, in some parts, there are some parts in China that really like black people, especially where you see they have more Chinese women. Chinese women like black guys. I mean, a lot of Asian, not just Chinese, but Asian generally like black people. This is why you have people like the passport bros. They tend to travel to these areas and they meet traditional women who have the value of tradition versus... and anyways,
yes, is the government of Jamaica, like so many African governments, so many other Caribbean governments have done. They've gotten in bed financially with the Chinese. The Chinese have studied the way the white man has practiced neo-colonialism throughout Africa. And the Chinese has learned that these black leaders don't really care about their people.
I understand what he's saying there and I agree with him. But they are also doing that in the United States. Just the other day they were complaining about Chinese owning land in Texas, especially close to military bases and what have you. So China is doing that all across the world. You focusing here on the Caribbean, yes, that is a problem indeed. We are selling ourselves short for the very trickle value of money that have no real value, only applied value. So they're doing the same thing too in the United States. So China want to take over. All right.
They're all about their pocket. So I'm going to do what the white man did, but I'm going to do it one time better. I'm going to offer them double the money. You let me take over this land right here. I'll get the white man offering you $1 million. I'm offering you $3 million. And I'm going to build you a retirement home.
And that is money, just money. People, I tell you, boy, every time I think of these things, the great book does just come to mind, boy. Oh, man has replaced real value for fake things. Just like man has replaced actually interacting with people with social media just for them to get attention for which they will never reciprocate. That is a heck of a thing.
And I'm going to pay for all your kids to go to college in China. You follow what I'm saying? And I'm going to give you a private military. So the Chinese have basically become neo-colonialists 2.0.
And it's on the backs of the people, caused by the leaders who the people put in positions to do things for the people. Hey. Guys, this is pretty much all about for this reaction video. I have another one to do today. This one was very long. If you understand it, give this video a thumbs up. If you want to see more, definitely subscribe and turn on that post notifications so you can get more videos as they tend to come through. I will see you guys in the next reaction video. The next one I'm going to react into is that of the protests. So let us get into it after I eat my lunch. Okay, I'll see you guys in a moment. Boom bang.